So there's these two whales. They're swimming along, and one of them, he turns to the other one and he says, so the other one, he turns around and he says, "Hey man, cut that out! You're gonna scare away all the girls." The reason that whales sing to each other is not entirely agreed upon. It's only the males that do the singing, and they do it during the breeding season, so at first it was thought that it was to attract a mate. Hey, baby! However, females show no sign of reacting to the male's song. Males usually communicate with each other for an interval of 10 minutes and then move on. So it was then thought that this must be a display of dominance. Did you just call me a... But more recent studies have shown that the song is not related to aggressive behavior and does not fit with male social order. So the most recent hypothesis is that it is actually a cooperative process to facilitate mating. Whale song is thought of as song because it's not just a random noise that they make. It is grouped into phrases, and they combine these phrases to make themes that are then repeated to make a song that usually lasts from 20 to 50 minutes. These songs are shared by a population, so all of the humpback whales that live around the Hawaiian Islands will sing the same song for a whole breeding season. In fact, some researchers noted that a few whales from a different population could come to a region with a new song and introduce it and turn all of the whales onto it, such that by the end of the season, all of the whales were singing this new song. They referred to this as a cultural revolution of whale song. Hey man, check out this new track! Everybody's listening to it. Another reason that whales make song is for sonar. They will make a sound and then listen for the echo of that sound coming back from the body of another whale. The sound that they create is very low frequency, which makes it able to travel a great distance, up to 5 kilometers, which also is about the distance that they tend to space themselves out over the breeding ground. Their song is usually between 175 and 188 decibels. And if another noise comes into that range, it will interfere with their song, similar to how a bass player and a guitarist can play together, but once a few guitarists start to play together, things will get muddled. In the open ocean, a whale's song can get drowned out by noise pollution. This is a whale's song played with a ship's engine in the background.
Noise pollution not only affects whale communication, but their general welfare as well. Human-generated noise from seismic surveying, shipping, and military sonar all have proven to be highly impactful on whales. Here to discuss the impacts of Navy sonar on whale populations is Joshua Horwitz, award-winning author of the 2014 book War of the Whales, A True Story. Hi Josh, thanks so much for taking the time to speak with us about your research. So your book obviously focuses on the effects of Navy sonar specifically on whale populations. So we were wondering, when sort of did the scientific community start to realize that military sonar was a problem for whales?
So it wasn't until 2000, during anti-submarine exercises by the U.S. Navy in the Bahamas, that a scientist happened to be right there on the site of a mass stranding when 17 whales stranded, mostly beaked whales, but 3 different species of beaked whales stranded at the same time or within a few hours of each other in the Great Bahama Canyon, which is the deepest underwater canyon in the world. And he actually had the presence of mind because, as it happens, he used to work in the Navy and was actually a sonar operator back in the 1960s and early 70s. And so he was, at the time of the stranding in 2000, the spring of 2000, he was doing field research on this population of whales when they suddenly started to strand. And this species of whales never strands, or almost never strands alive. Obviously, dead whales wash ashore occasionally, but these whales just live in this deep underwater canyon, and they start showing up on the beaches inland. And so he had the presence of mind to cut off the heads of several of these whale specimens and put them in a freezer and preserve them for an investigation, which he also went to great lengths to compel the Navy to initiate. And he went so far as to go on 60 Minutes and talk about what he believed was the cause of this stranding. And he eventually forced the Navy to investigate it, and the Navy admitted eventually that there was a likely link between these exercises and this stranding, and that was the first.
So you just discussed the correlation between naval testing and mass strandings. Have you found that naval testing has a result and an impact on other aspects of whale life, such as breeding, communication, feeding, and anything like that?
There are two categories of risks from Navy sonar to marine mammals, specifically whales. One is the obvious one of what they call lethal risks, which are stranding, because very few whales who strand survive. Even if they're pushed back into the water, they eventually die, most of them. So they're the lethal, and then there are what are called non-lethal risks, which have been established conclusively in over a period of a decade of research. And those include what are called habitat avoidance. So if they are doing these exercises, particularly if they're doing them over an extended period of time within a known whale habitat, such as the Bahamas, or in a more recent case, California, where they've studied it off the coast of Southern California, that whales will abandon their breeding and feeding habitats, and either temporarily or for extended periods of time. And so what this means is that if particularly if you're an endangered species of whale that's either migrating through this area, or if you're resident there, that whales, because it's such a loud noise, and again, Navy sonar is along with seismic air guns, some of the loudest noises, industrial noises in the ocean. And so the consequences of habitat avoidance are significant, because if this is where you go to mate every year and you can't go there because it's too noisy to tolerate or to communicate with potential mates, that's obviously significant to the survival of an endangered species or a threatened species. And similarly, if it's your feeding ground and you can't feed there because it's either you can't hunt with sonar, okay, so the whales use the same kind of, they use sonar to find their prey, along with other, they use their own biosonar to identify and locate their prey species. So if they can't do that, then, they're at risk for starvation or surfing.
So it sounds like the Navy has obviously conceded that there's a link between sonar and mass strandings. So what exactly is being done about sonar testing?
The main sticking point in these lawsuits that have been going on for 15 years now against the Navy is that the environmental groups, and there's more than one now that's been suing the Navy, have wanted them to do what are called seasonal and geographic exclusions, which is to say, if you know that there are whales resident or migrating through an area at a given time of year, don't do your exercises, your anti-submarine exercises, the typical ones.
What is your outlook on future relations between humans and whales, and do you envision whales as a species being successful in years to come?
I think when you're talking about humans and whales, they obviously have a bad history, and it's gotten better in terms of the awareness of how fragile their survival is, really. I would say that I'm optimistic in that whales have been here for 40 million years, and they are likely to outlive humans on this planet in some form or another. Having said that, I think that the oceans are under so many stresses, and you're citing noise pollution, which is great because most people don't know about noise pollution. But that's only one of the threats to whales. I don't think whaling, commercial whaling, is any longer a major threat to whales, but certainly climate change and ocean warming is a huge threat to whales because it's totally changed their feeding patterns and where their prey species are, and it's changed everything in the ocean. So I think a combination of climate change and noise pollution and other factors combined pose a very significant threat.
All right, thanks for speaking with us. Again, that was Joshua Horowitz, author of War of the Whales. Now Sam will discuss noise pollution mitigation.
So far, we have talked about the noise pollution of ships, seismic surveying, and Navy sonar, which have created oceans where whale song is lost and their means of feeding, breeding, and migration have been negatively impacted. This means, to a whale born no more than 70 years ago, all this change has taken place within their lifetime. This is troubling. Recently, scientists have brought anthropogenic noise in the ocean to the forefront of public attention. The more that we as humans can understand the changes that we have induced and the significance they bear, the more necessary it becomes that action is taken. This can be done through technological advancements, the passing of legislation, and the voluntary compliance of public and private entities to reduce their contribution of noise in the ocean. When public awareness of increased ambient ocean noise came about 20 years ago, national and international organizations were at the forefront of the issue. Each source of noise pollution presents a different problem and the need for a unique international solution. Take shipping, for example. Redesigning hull shape and propellers can reduce the noise ships produce. When current ships are phased out of commission over time, new ships will hopefully implement these new designs. Unlike the future of shipping, however, no solutions for seismic surveying practices have been found and proven successful. Currently, a technique being implemented with the well-being of whales in mind is to operate air guns when the danger zone of their blasts is free of whales. However, detection sometimes proves faulty. Another approach being used is to gradually increase the intensity of air blasts. This is based upon the assumption that the whales are given a chance to leave the area of surveying before they are surrounded by the worst of the noise. Both of these methods have yet to be proven effective. The U.S. Navy has agreed to put areas of important habitat for marine mammals off limits to sonar training, a big step in the right direction for the protection of marine mammals and whales in particular. It is important to note that the different efforts to reduce anthropogenic noise in the ocean can make a difference when they are all put into effect together. It is our responsibility as humans to have the lightest impact on the oceans that we can have. If effective action is taken to reduce low frequency noise of shipping, the high intensity noise of seismic surveying, and the harmful sonar testing practices, then the noise in the oceans may once again fall to levels where whales will be able to operate as they once did thousands of years ago. Amongst all these negatives revolving around anthropogenic noise, there lies a silver lining. Noise pollution is unlike other pollutants. Once noise pollution is reduced in the oceans, then decibel levels will return to their original state and whales will be alleviated of their burden. Just think, one day, the numerous species of whales that have lived in the oceans for thousands of years and through multiple climatic events will be able to operate how they always have, through their song.